Hello, good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today we have quite the crazy set of news coming out of the DevBlog and from the stream today. And I gotta say, I think most of us, especially if you watched yesterday's video, knew what was coming in general, but just what was announced is kinda nuts. So, if you haven't, seen the stream or read the title of this video, Dutch cruisers are coming in their own separate nation and branch. So the Netherlands is being added in as its own separate nation. It's not going to be one of the European branches. So that's very interesting. Well, more on that in a moment. And the entire line of Dutch cruisers has been announced. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, like always, read from the dev blog, give you guys my thoughts after each section. If you want to check the article out or read along as I read aloud, please check out the link in the description down below. So alright, let's go ahead and get going. So ST.10.4 new ships. In 10.4, we're introducing a branch of Dutch cruisers, Dutch Tier 8 cruiser, the 7 provinces. I know that's not how it's said, but that's what it translates to. An American Tier 8 cruiser, Congress, to the test. Please note that all information in the development blog is preliminary. Announced adjustments and features may change multiple times during testing. The final information will be published on our game's website. We are glad to present a new playable nation in Tech Tree, the Netherlands. The following searchable Dutch cruisers will be added to the game in the upcoming closed testing session.
Van Kinsbergen, Gelderland, Java, De Ruiter, Celebes, Kijkduin, Eendracht, Haarlem, Johan de Wit, Gouden Leeuw.
Alright, so here is the...
Van Kinsbergen.
And here's the Tier 2, the...
Gelderland.
And here's the Tier 3.
Java.
Here's the Tier 4.
De Ruiter.
Here's the Tier 5, which looks like it stole its superstructure from the Kraftspie.
Celebes.
Here's a Tier 6, which looks oddly Russian.
Kijkduin.
Here's the Tier 7.
Eendracht.
Here's the Tier 9.
Johan de Wit.
And here's the Tier 10, the...
Gouden Leeuw.
Alright, ships will be tested in the nation of Europe until update 10.5. After update 10.5, they will be moved to a separate nation, the Netherlands. These cruisers were developed for the Netherlands East Indies fleet, though work on most was interrupted by the German invasion plans in 1940. Yeah, the Germans tend to interrupt you, especially if you lived in Eastern Europe around the 1940s. The ships were designed to counter Japanese heavy cruisers. Dutch cruisers perform best at close and medium range, supporting allies in the fight for key areas. They have good survivability for a cruiser due to strong armor, especially at high levels, and also have good concealment and maneuverability. The cruisers are equipped with the new type of armament, Airstrike. At high tiers, ships have a big caliber, and their characteristics such as fire duration, hit points, and armor are similar to those of large cruisers, so that means battleship burn times, which sucks. Since the Dutch cruisers were equipped with a new type of armament, the concept of ships can change significantly during testing. Key features of Dutch cruisers: good maneuverability and concealment, but low firing range and rate of fire. Hydroacoustic search consumable, as well as a choice between fighter or spotter aircraft, available from Tier 4. New airstrike armament, available from Tier 4 up. Repair party consumable with increased reload speed, and DFAA available from Tier 8. Strong armor on high tiers. The Tier 8 to 10 ships are armed with the following caliber. So the Haarlem, which I can actually say that one, she has 203. The De Wit has 240 millimeters, and the Leeuw has 283 millimeters. I'm pretty sure they just ripped the guns and turrets off of the Scharnhorst for that one. Please note that with update 10.6, Tier 9 destroyer Friesland will be moved from the Europe nation to the Netherlands nation. Now, something to note about the Friesland. They did say the Friesland will move over, but they didn't say whether or not the commanders will move over either. I don't know. It seems like they may be abandoning the whole European tech line and deciding to split it up into separate nations, which I think is a good idea, because there's plenty of nations in Europe that had very large navies in the early 20th century where you can make individual nations out of these ship lines. So they may be doing that, but I don't know what they're going to do with the commanders. That's going to be a bit of an issue going forward. They could do a thing where you can transfer them over, and then after a certain date, they're going to be locked into whatever nation they're in. I don't know. They didn't say. That's just me speculating. Alright, the Airstrike. Airstrike is a new type of armament that first appears in Dutch cruisers. Due to the fact that this is a new mechanic, both of the concepts of ships and the concept of armament can change significantly during testing. At the moment, aircraft, called by the Airstrike armament, are equipped with HE bombs. Will operate at a distance of 8 to 10 kilometers and drop bombs on an area comparable to the size of 2 battleships. Bombs will take a long time to reach their targets, so it is best to use them against large and low mobility targets, battleships and aircraft carriers. At the same time, the aircraft don't detect opponents, and unlike aircraft carrier squadrons, they are not directly controlled by the player. This type of armament is based on the actually used method of low-altitude bombing with parachute-equipped bombs. The bombing is carried out in 2 stages. First, the bomb descends to a certain distance on a parachute, which detaches after a while. 2, the bombs fall the rest of the way without a parachute. And here are some screen grabs of what this looks like. Now, they did not show this off on stream, so we don't have any video to show of this. They just showed the 2 screenshots here, so I'm not sure exactly how it works. I mean, it's better than, like, player-controlled aircraft, of course, because it is AI. And it does seem like, especially if it's, as they emphasized on stream, very slow going, and it takes the aircraft a hot second to get where they're going, it may be okay. I don't know. We haven't seen any video of it, and they didn't show any off, and of course I haven't touched it, so I don't know. But it was a real tactic used, just like skip bombing, and I think the idea of adding in new mechanics and new armament types into the game is good for variety, but we'll see how this goes. And again, if it's like what they said on stream, where it's not very accurate, it's very time consuming to do, it may not be that big of an issue. It might be a good harassment tool to get someone to like dislodge themselves from behind an island. If they're just camping the island, it could be great for that. Or if there's a DD just camping in smoke and you don't have any radar, you could use this to kind of displace them from the smoke. But I don't think it's going to be very effective in terms of damage doing. But again, we'll see how this goes on. And this could be something that gets thrown out the window completely, just like the Soviet. Remember back when the Soviet battleships were supposed to have like 15-kilometer radar that only detected CVs and battleships, and that went out the window like the second round of testing? It might do that too. We don't know yet. Alright, American Cruiser Congress, Tier 8. Congress, American Cruiser dated 1940. This project is the predecessor of an Alaska-class cruiser. Ship is named after one of the 6 U.S. Navy 3-masted heavy frigates built in the 1790s through the early 1800s. Yes, someone did clarify this on my Congress video the other day, that they're going with the old frigate names, which, okay, that makes sense. It's just a little strange that even though, you know, in the 1940s, the Navy was going with territorial names rather than naming these ships after the old frigates. I mean, it makes sense in game, but just going off of what the Navy was actually doing in real life, but okay, it's cool, I get it. Due to the high weight of the salvo, good accuracy, and good firing range, she is able to effectively inflict damage to enemy ships from a long distance. The ship is equipped with the following consumables: Repair Party, Hydroacoustic Search, or DFAA, in the second slot, and Surveillance Radar, Fighter, Spotting Aircraft in the third slot, just like Alaska. Therefore, due to her good air defense, high survivability, and a wide selection of equipment, is able to effectively support allies in the fight for key areas. I think it's a bit of a stretch to claim that this is a predecessor to the Alaskan, considering it is literally the Alaska hull, just with less guns. Like, it's literally Alaska. They just took 2 guns off of it. I mean, the consumables are the same. The hit points, I believe, are the same too. The armor is the only thing that may be different, and we don't know the armor layout just yet. We know the plating, which is 27 millimeters, the same as Alaska, but it's possible that her citadel might be a bit higher. We don't know yet. Alright, Dutch cruiser, the 7 provinces, Tier 8. A light cruiser laid out before the outbreak of World War II and completed in the 1950s, according to a modified project. In the second half of the 20th century, she was purchased by Peru, decommissioned only in September 2017. She was the largest artillery cruiser in the world to remain in service. The 7 provinces is equipped with 8 universal 152mm guns and 4 turrets. Specialized repair teams, engine boost consumables, and the airstrike armament. The ship's guns have a medium firing range and high fire rate. The cruiser is able to quickly change flank or take an advantageous position due to the engine boost consumable. Man, she gets all the consumables, don't she? In the ship characteristics. Oh, also added to the game, the Soviet Tier 8 cruiser Bagration, built on the basis of the Tier 8 Soviet cruiser P Bagration. The new ship will be used in partnership program promotions, so it looks like we're getting maybe, I don't know, a Zerlane Bagration or whatever, but here we go. Alright, so the characteristics of the ship. So the Tier 1, it's Tier 1, so 7,000 hit points, 6 millimeters of plating, yada yada yada. Let's go look at some of the... Let's start from the Tier 4. So Tier 4, she has 24,000 hit points, 13 millimeters of plating. Looks like she has a single mount, then two triple mounts, 150s, with a firing range of 15.2 kilometers, maximum HE shell damage of 2150, 11% chance of starting a fire, maximum AP shell damage of 3000, with an AP and HE shell velocity of 9,000 meters a second. So does it talk about the airstrike? No, it doesn't. Okay, yeah. So there's nothing in here about the airstrike. I want to know like the reload time on that, because it's a armament. It's not a consumable. So it's like torpedoes. You never run out. It just goes on cooldown. All right. So let's take a look at let's go look at the higher tier ones. So the Harlem, the Tier 8, you get 9 203mm guns with a 15.6 kilometer firing range, maximum HE shell damage of 2,850, 13% chance of starting a fire. Maximum AP shell damage of 4,800, and both the AP and HE shells have an initial velocity of 925 meters a second. Those are some fast freaking shells. But they have a 15-second reload time, which is pretty darn long by Tier 8 standards, even for heavy cruisers. Let's see, maximum speed 32.5 knots, yada 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 yada, damage control, hydro, DFA, and repair party, which lasts for 28 seconds and heals 259 hit points per second and reloads in 40 seconds. That's a pretty quick reload time. And she gets 3 charges of that. Alright, so the one that's very interesting is the Tier 10. However you say it.
Gouden Leeuw.
She has 51,900 hit points, 25mm plating, and she gets basically Scharnhorst guns, 3x3 283mm guns with a 16.5 kilometer firing range, maximum HE shell damage of 3,900, maximum AP shell damage of 7,600. Oh, I'm sorry, and her HE shells have a 20% chance of starting a fire, and they both have an initial velocity of 890 meters a second. So again, some pretty fast-moving shells. She has a 17-second reload time base, and a sigma of 2.05 with a maximum dispersion of 187 meters. No torpedoes. I don't think any of these ships get torpedoes at all. That's something that people were asking about in the stream a lot, and I didn't hear if they clarified that. No, it doesn't look like any of them. Even the lower tier ones have torpedoes. All right. Okay then. So yeah, the cruisers, the concept's cool. I like the idea of close-in cruisers that are pretty tanky and they're meant to stay close to your ships. We'll see how they turn out, because it sounds like with this airstrike consumable, if this armament doesn't work out, then the ships are going to be changed quite a lot. So we'll have to see what happens with that before we get too set on these cruisers. But overall, I do like the idea of these cruisers, and again, it's pretty cool that they're putting them in their own nation. So that's also very cool. The Congress, we already went over this in the Congress video, so please go check that out. All right, the 7 provinces. So let's see, what is her HP? Her repair party. Alright, so her repair party runs for 28 seconds, and it heals 169 hit points per second, and reloads in 80 seconds. And she gets 3 charges of those. So it's a pretty decent heal, not exactly a super heal like the Royal Navy cruiser super heal, the Royal Navy battleship super heal. Okay, I just went over a few of the ship's stats. If you want to see all of them, go to the link down below. I could sit here and read through all this, but it'd be like a 40-minute video. But anyways, go on now to the next set of news. Alright, ST 10.4 Battle of the Beast Collection, German Destroyers, and Interface Update. Close testing of Update 10.4 begins with the Battle of the Beast event and the German Destroyer Collection, ranked and clan battles and other news. Alright, Battle of the Beast. A new temporary event based on German mythology. The event lasts 4 weeks. Once a week you can choose one of 4 teams.
Welthund, Feuerputz, Gluschwanz, Lindworm.
During the event, you need to complete personal missions which are issued daily to everyone who participates in the event. Missions can be completed throughout the day in random, co-op, and ranked battles. The results of completing missions is taken into account both in personal and team progress. By achieving a certain amount of personal and team progress, players receive rewards. Rewards, themed patches, flags, and camouflages, as well as a new temporary resource, beast tokens. Tokens can be spent on various rewards in the armory, including containers from the German Destroyers collection. So here's what the containers are going to look like. And I'm assuming these are some of the commanders you can grab during the event. Details of the event will be published in a separate article before the start of the event. German Destroyers Collection. Another part of the event dedicated to early access to German destroyers will be a new collection that tells the history of these ships, their features and weapons, as well as the people who served on them. The collection consists of 4 sets of 4 elements. Reward for collecting full set, 1 day of premium time. Rewards for completing all sets, Iron Cross, permanent camouflage for Gustav, Julius Marker, and a special flag. Alright, the Iron Cross camo, always like this camo. Looks very clean, very neat, and I just like it. It's one of the ones that I wouldn't mind putting on a ship and leaving it on. I normally don't like the very gaudy camouflages, but the Iron Cross camo looks very clean. Collection items can only be obtained from the German destroyer containers. Alright, and here is something that came out of frickin' left field, I think for everybody. Auction. There are many special items in our game. In Update 10.4, we are adding a new way to obtain collectible content. The auction, where various rare goods will become available. Besides the collecting aspect, the auction will also serve as an additional way to replenish stocks of resources and other in-game items. Basic rules. Each auction only lasts a limited time. The auction consists of the following stages. A lot is announced to be auctioned, with the starting price and number of winners becoming known. The opportunity to place bets opens. Summing up of the results of the auction, bets are no longer accepted. The winners of the auction receive their rewards, and the rest of the bidders get their bids back. You can change the size of the bet at any time while the lot is active. The player only knows the starting price, their personal bid, and the total number of possible winners. Depending on the lot, different in-game resources can be used for bets. The number of lots is limited. The highest bid wins. The winning bid is withdrawn from the winner's account in exchange for the lot. For example, if the auction item was a commemorative flag with a total of 500 copies, at the end of the auction, each of the 500 players who bid the highest would receive 1 copy of the flag. Okay. There are several issues with this idea. So, the biggest issue I have with it is that are rare ships going to be included in this? Because if so, I mean, like, people will throw insane amounts of money at this to get their Missouri or their Jean Bar or the Kronstadt or the König Albert. Whatever they want to get, people will throw money at this. That very well might be Wargaming's thinking. And I have mixed feelings about that because, you know, if you go into this willingly understanding that, hey, this is an auction and I'm going to spend however much money I want to throw at this, I mean, fine, that's your money. No one's forcing you to do it, so have fun. It's not like the containers where, like the Christmas containers, for example, where there's a bit of funny business going on there with the short list. But if you're going to this understanding that you are bidding at an auction for a digital item, okay, go ahead. Now, if it's just for like camos, signals, and like collectible flags, okay, that's fine. All cosmetic items, or maybe some camos or signal flags that are very good at boosting your XP and credit income, and you can potentially get a good bit of these for less than what it would cost you to get them in the game through normal channels. Sure, why not? But yeah, and I don't know if they said on stream if they were or weren't putting ships in this. I only caught about the tail end of this part, and I heard that they didn't really mention it, so hopefully ships won't be in this, because, I mean, again, there's the whole, let's release an extremely powerful ship, pull it from the store, now let's put it at auction so where we can make a bunch of money off of it. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this, because again, on one hand, you're knowing that you're going to the auction, you know, with however much money you want to spend. It's up to you. Have fun. On the other hand, too, you know, all those rare, potentially broken ships up for sale in the auction, like let's say the FDR gets pulled. Now it's going to be in the auction where you could potentially just bid on it with like doubloons rather than steel, like it was intended to be. But yeah, a lot of questions remain to be answered about the auction and how it exactly works. But if ships aren't involved in it, then I don't really have much of a problem with it at all. Alright, Achievements Interface Update. In 10.4, the interface of the Achievements section in the port will be updated. Updated the appearance of the achievement screen, added categories and updated sorting of achievements, updated tooltips in the port and post-battle statistics, disabled rewards for obtaining achievements. Now rewards can be obtained by completing special chains of combat missions, for the completion of which you need to receive achievements in battle. So it looks like they just kind of tidied it up, which is fine. You know, again, some quality of life improvements there for the interface, so that's good. Clan battles. Whew, man, they were announced a lot today. From May 26th to July 12th, the 13th season of Clan battles will take place in a 7v7 format on Tier 10 ships, so go ahead and spin up your FDRs. Limits on the number of ships. 1 aircraft carrier, no more than 2 battleships. If the team has an aircraft carrier, the maximum number of battleships is reduced to 1, so you can have 2 capital ships, 1 CV and 1 BB, or 2 BBs. You can only have 1 CV per team. Details of the season will be announced later. Ranked battles. Season 3 of Ranked battles will begin on May 19th. Format 7v7. Tiers 6 to 7 the Bronze League, Tiers 8 to 10 in the Silver League, and Tier 10 in the Gold League. Details of the season will be announced later. Brawl. From June 7th to June 14th, a 12v12 Brawl will be held on Tier 10 ships in the Arms Race mode. Details of the Brawl will be announced later. I'm very happy to see Arms Races coming back too. It's always a fun mode for me, at least. I enjoy it. Alright, new content. Added the Ice Serpent permanent camouflage for Shikishima, available for clan tokens. And I do like this camo. It looks very nice. Again, I'm not one to like a lot of gaudy camos, but I don't know. It's just a combination of colors and the design. I do like this camo. Added permanent camouflages, Veteran of Jutland for Agincourt, in honor of, oh god,
Skagerrak
for Koenig Albert, in memory of Jutland for Tiger 59, and Baltic Strip for Weimar. So there's the Agincourt and her in memory of Jutland camo. There's Tiger 59 and her memory of Jutland camo. There's Weimar in her camo. And there is Koenig Albert in her camo. And this is the Battle of Jutland camo for an expendable camouflage that is being added as well. Added container, Battle of Jutland flags, Battle of that, Hunt for Bismarck, Admiral General, Commander-in-Chief of the Kriegsmarine, and German Destroyers Part 2, as well as patches, Battle of Jutland, Battle of that, and Hunt for Bismarck, Tiger, and Weimar. Whoo! Hoo-hoo! I did that almost in one breath. And there they are. Added World Warships, the beautiful game, flag and patch, which is this right here. Okay. Ways of obtaining these items will be announced at a later date. Please note that all information in the DevBlog is preliminary. Announced adjustments and features may change multiple times during testing. The final information will be published on our game's website. Whew. Okay, so a lot of news coming out of the devs today. Well, yesterday for when you guys will be seeing this on YouTube. So yeah, a lot to go over here at the end. So TLDR for the Dutch cruisers. I'm excited that they're coming to the game. I like that they went with the concept of a close-in cruiser that's kind of meant to be played close to your team. That way you have more cruisers that are willing to push with your battleships, and maybe battleships will feel more encouraged to push now that they won't be the only thing to shoot at. It does seem too that these cruisers will be quite tanky in terms of their armor and also their health pool, especially the higher tier ones. The Airstrike armament, again, I have to see more to know how I feel about it. I do like the concept of them adding in more weaponry into the game. This could also be quite useful against submarines. It does seem like it is going to work very similar to the depth charge plane. You know, you select an area of the map. A couple seconds later, airplane flies over, drop their munitions, and I do think it will serve more of a tactical purpose in just getting ships to move out of their spots. Say they're camping an island like many American cruisers like to do, or like many battleships like to do when they're trying to lock down a cap. You can use that to either encourage them to move, or they're going to sit there and take the damage. And it does sound like you will be able to dodge these quite easily. So we'll see what happens with that. The premium ships, I already talked about Congress quite a bit in her video. Seems kind of weird that they're adding in a Tier 8 Alaska just after removing the Alaska. But interesting ship. It does just seem like an Alaska at Tier 8 with 2 less guns so far. If it has the same armor as the Alaska has at Tier 9 at Tier 8, I think the ship's going to be fairly busted if it comes out in its as-is state right now. The 7 provinces, very cool seeing a real steel ship that served for a very long time in real life in game, and that will be being made into a museum ship here very soon by the Netherlands, it seems. And again, it's always cool to be able to go to a museum ship in real life, then come back home, get on the game, and play that ship in game. Very cool way to interact with history. We'll see how this ship progresses during testing, but looks pretty interesting so far. Other than that, I mean, the auction, I said what I said about that, and again, we'll see how it progresses. If no ships are involved, no rare ships are involved in the auction, I think it's a pretty fun way to get additional resources and such. And they didn't say whether or not it was going to be bidding via doubloons or in-game resources. When I was listening to the stream, they were talking about putting out so much coal, so many credits, so much steel, things like that. They're talking more in terms of resources rather than doubloons. So if it's through resources, then absolutely it's going to be fine in my opinion. But if it's doubloons, again, selling of Wisconsin, I'm sorry, putting Wisconsin up for bid for doubloons, they would make a lot of money doing that. But again, if you're going into that with the knowledge that that's what you're doing as a consumer, you're paying this many doubloons for this item, then I mean that's on you, and that's up to you, and that's your money, and it's their game. They can do what they want with it, but it's straight up front, so I think it would be okay in terms of that. But if it's just like cosmetic and flags and collectible flags and such, then I think it's perfectly fine. But anyway, guys, that's what I think about all this new information coming out. I was trying to make this video not a 30-minute video, but just so much information came out today that it did run this long. But anyway, guys, I will be streaming right here tonight on the channel and on Twitch from 5 p.m. U.S. Central Time till 8 p.m. U.S. Central Time, so please come out and join us for that. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 25,000 subs. Just passed 23,700 a few days ago, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Again, guys, hope you're having a wonderful Friday. I hope to catch you guys in the next one.